Hello everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial we're going to look at how to create this sign up layout that we have on screen here. Just like you can see, we have our logo or icon, then we have our input section, this section for remember me and forget password, then the login button, and the link to create or sign up for new users. All right, so just as usual, you click on the start a new project and you make sure that you have selected the empty views activity. Don't confuse that with empty activity. They are different, and the difference is that empty activity will not create any necessary file for you, so you just open the project fresh without any file, while empty view activity we start with a main activity which you can always rename. Whichever one is actually okay, but I always advise you start with empty view activity. Right, so the next thing I will do is I'll click on next. Then I want to give my project a name. So for this, I'll just call it login activity, or let me say login UI. Okay, so I'll call it login UI. Then for yours, this part might be com.example.login UI. You want to make sure that you remove that example, especially if you are planning to develop an application you'll be posting to Google Console or any other what's it called, any other app upload directory. All right, so let's focus on this for now. So I have mine as com.dions.login UI, and I can change this to anything. So it could be BF, which is beginner focus, which is the channel where this video is uploaded. All right, so the next thing I want to do is to make sure that I leave this to recommended, and you can decide to use Groovy. It doesn't change anything. And for the fact that for this project we'll not be really using much dependency, so I'll just stay with DLS, Kotlin DLS, and then I'll click on finish. Then please, before you click on finish, make sure that you have your internet turned off, else you won't be able to download all the necessary dependency file that is needed to make this project run smoothly and accurately. So you want to make sure that your system is connected to the internet and you can actually access the internet. So I'll just click on finish, then I'll wait for this to download all the necessary dependency file. So I'll just sit back while this begins to download. All right, so let's just wait for that. I think that is working in the background. This is not it, just hold on, that will pop up very soon. All right, okay, let's just go on. So this is the project we are currently running. Just like I said it to create a main activity, and just ignore the Java code for now. We are not doing anything there. Then you can switch to split screen so that you can see the code as well as the UI. So let's wait for this to download all the necessary dependency. If you look at this section here, you see it says importing login UI Gradle projects. So let's wait for that. Alright, all the necessary dependency file has been installed, so I'll just close this section. I don't need this again, and we just wait for this to display. So it's just loading. Once that is done, we'll have this side display the UI of our app. So pending when that comes up, so let's just collapse this section and we come to the Rex folder, our layout. So this is the main layout that we have here. We can actually rename this file by coming to refactor and selecting rename once everything is done building. Okay, for now let's just sit back. All right, now you can see that our UI is showing. You can use this plus icon to actually zoom up to see what you have there. So the only thing we have on the screen is a text, which is hello world. So this is the section here. I can decide to just delete it from here. Okay, now let me resize this panel so that we can have this. So once I delete this, we don't have anything on screen again. All right, so the first thing we want to do is to come to the value section. We are going to be defining the color that we need for our project, or the color that we'll be using for this project. In this in the video link available in the video description, you'll find a link to the blog where I've explained each part of this code step by step. Then you can also find the link to download all the resources that I've used in this project. All right, so the first thing I want to do is to define my color, which I have actually stated here. So all I will just do is I will just copy this color code and I will have them in my project. Then I will explain them one after the other. So what I want to have is I want to replace this section with this color. All right, so I'll be using this color primarily in this project. So the first one, we have a color named black, and this is the black code. For example, if I'm going to be defining another color, maybe light pink or light orange, for example, I want to put it here. There are two ways to go about that. I can just put my arrow, my cursor in front of this orange color, this one that I've defined. So when I put my cursor there, I can press Ctrl D. It will duplicate that particular one. Then I can give it a different name. Okay, let's take, for example, light orange, L for light. Then I can come here, click on this color icon here. Then I can modify my light version of that color. Or another way to go about that is, if I have my color offhand, all I just have to do is just type in color. Then I'll give it a name. Let's say, for example, gray. Did I have gray in this? No. So let's say gray, and I'll just close this tag, and I'll define my color in between this area. Okay, so all I have to do is press the ampersand sign hash. Then let's take, for example, 696969. That's the color for me, and that is family of gray. All right, so now once you've defined your color, this is the color we'll be using all through the project. The next thing you want to do is to add the icons we'll be using. I'll be using basically two icons. Lock, that's padlock for the what's it called, for the password field, and email icon for the email field. So all I'll just do is I'll just come here, right click on drawable and click on new. Then I'll select vector assets. Okay, so when I select vector asset, I have this. Then I'll click on this clip art section. Let me cancel this and explain that again. This clip art section, you click on this icon here. Then the first one I want to have is email. So I just type in email so that I have the email option from my icon packs. So I'm going to be using this email precisely, and I'll change the name to make it easier for me. IC email. So that is done. I'll click on finish. Then I'll repeat the same process for the lock icon. So I'll just go through vector assets, select this again, and this time around I'm typing lock. Okay, so once I have that, I want to use this particular one. So I'll click on OK. Then I'll change the name to IC lock so I can easily reference it anywhere I need that particular icon. All right, so once I'm done with that, I'll just click on next and finish. Now we have those two icons ready. Now let's go to our main activity where we are going to be writing the code. Just like I said earlier, not to make this video unnecessarily long, I have the code already. I will explain it line by line, don't worry. So I'll just go back to my file and copy the code I need. Okay, so this is my login UI code. So I'll just go on and copy that, Ctrl C, then I'll come back in and paste that. All right, so we have some few errors here because we need to create some files. Okay, for example, this is saying login activity. I just want to remove this line because I don't even need it. Okay, now let's begin to treat the errors one after the other. Okay, the first thing is we have an image view which is used to hold an image, and the image we are adding here is IC lock, and because of we have created that image, you can see it's showing here. Then we have an edit text field where we can enter a value, and it has a background, a custom background called input area. That does not exist. We have the option of leaving it as it is or creating that particular input area. Okay, you can see that this one is having a kind of gray outline for the input field, while this first one is not having. That's because we are not using edit text field for this. An edit text field is a particular widget that allows user to be able to enter text in a particular area, while the one we use for password is text input layout. The reason why we have to do that is because edit text field does not allow us to set to set this password toggle icon, which is responsible for hiding or showing the password. So in edit text view it is not available, but in text input layout it is available. So that is why I have to use text input layout for the password field. And with this attribute called password toggle enable, this eye drop icon is showing. So if I remove this particular line, for example, this, you see that the eye dropper, the toggle icon vanishes immediately. So I want to undo, Ctrl Z. All right, so now I want to define this particular file that is missing. So I'll just click on create drawable. If you don't have this option on your own, all you just have to do is right click on drawable folder, click on new and click on drawable resource file, then give it this name, input area. So I'll give it input area, .xml. So that's that. Then you want to change the root selector to shape. Then you want to click on OK. So with that, you have this. So if you go back to your code, you see that this line in few seconds will not be showing as error again, because we already, you can see it's not showing as error again, though it's not applying because we have not created anything precisely. So what we'll do is, inside our area, just copy the code I've given you already, and I'll also explain that to you so that you understand what you are copying and pasting. So I'll just copy and paste this, copy, then I'll come back here and click on Ctrl V to paste. Okay, so now let's just break down what we have in between this line. Now this is a normal line that we need to have in our shape. Then we say the stroke, which is this black outline around it, we set the color to int color that has been defined in our color file. Okay, so if you look at our color file, this is our int color, this color here, 949494. So I set the stroke color to int color, which is this gray color. Then I set the width, how thick that line is, to 2-dimension pixel. If I increase it to 20, for example, you'll see what happens. This outline becomes bigger, and I don't want that actually, because it will be unnecessarily big for me. Then the next line talks about how curved these edges is, and that is corners. I use corners. I set to the top right to 20, and to the bottom left radius to also 20. So that's what I have there. So I have 20 to both sides. Then I have to top left and to top right also. So those are the 4 attributes I have. I can actually just use the radius, what's it called, the radius property to set for all of them, but I prefer to go this way. So as you can see, when we set our stroke width to 20, it is unnecessarily too big. So now let's return back to our layout. And if you return back to your layout, once this fully load up, you'll see that this input area now will be having a kind of border around it to show that we have something to enter there. All right, so the next thing is this section where we have remember me and forget password. So I just zoom this layer up. So we have to put this inside a relative layout, and I believe you know that already if you have watched my previous video. A relative layout allows to set the orientation of our layout. Okay, let me just scroll down in my code to see that. All right, so this is my what's it called, remember me and forget password container. Here I have a linear layout which allows me to set the orientation to horizontal. That is, each item will be placed side by side on the horizontal level. So the first thing I have is I have a checkbox for the remember me. Then I also have a text view for forget password. Now ideally, it's always better that you have an ID for each of these fields, so that when we are writing the code to actually make this perform some action, we can always reference them by that ID. So for example, I want to say check for this remember. Ideally, it's always better that you use a name that helps you to understand what that particular section is for, so that when you need to call that section, you actually know the name you're giving it. So for my forget password also, I'll use similar thing. So I'll just call this txt what's it called, forget password. So I know that that text view is for forget password. Okay, so we have these 2 sections now. This is the horizontal container that will allow those items to be placed side by side. If I change the horizontal and the orientation to vertical, it means that they will be stacked vertically, and I don't actually want that. Okay, let's see what happens when we set it to vertical. I think something is my code is taking time to actually run because I'm running multiple programs simultaneously. All right, so let's just wait for that. So if you do that on your end, you will see what actually happened when you set it to vertical. But because of my system is currently freezing up because I have a lot of app running in the background, so I'll just return it back to horizontal. All right, so that's about that. Then we have a button. This is the button. For our button, we have the width to match parent, that is, it's going to be as wide as the screen, but we give it a padding, a margin so that it's not starting from the edges of your screen. It doesn't make sense that way. So we set the text to display to login. We set the minimum height to 55. The background color, we set it to a color orange that has been defined in our color file. And then we have this last text, don't have an account, sign up. All right, so we have created a login UI from scratch. So if you find this very helpful, please smash the like button. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any question about this layout, please feel free to drop your question in the comment section. I will take my time to go through all of your questions and please answer to that. Thank you and do have a wonderful time.